Science keeps hiding huge consequences inside ordinary places, from stadium stands to tiny equations in plant specimens. These 8 stories show how evidence turns strange facts into clear mechanisms. A self-sustaining nuclear chain reaction was first made under the stands of a football stadium, not in a secret desert lab. At the University of Chicago in Hyde Park, researchers set up a controlled experiment in a space built beneath the campus stadium stands. The challenge was to let neutrons trigger more fissions, then slow them enough to keep the reaction steady. That balance is called criticality. When the system held that balance, the reaction sustained itself without running away. It became a controlled chain reaction, measured instead of accidental. That result showed nuclear power could be controlled in a campus room hidden under stadium stands. An ordinary-looking place in Hyde Park became the start of a new physics era. Eugene Parker said the mathematics behind solar wind fit in just 4 lines of algebra. Solar wind is a stream of material flowing outward from the sun. Parker was describing the math, not claiming the phenomenon was small. The surprise is the contrast. A major physical theory can rest on a short algebraic description. Algebra means equations written as compact symbolic steps. That compact form helped frame how scientists think about the sun's outer reach. It gave the theory a simple mathematical shape that could be tested and discussed. A tiny equation can describe a vast space phenomenon. In Parker's case, 4 lines were enough to point from paper to the sun's far-reaching influence. Male and female Skimmia japonica were once classified as different species. One plant name was split into 2 because the specimens looked different. Skimmia japonica has male specimens and female specimens. In plant taxonomy, appearance is often the first clue used to sort specimens. The confusion came from sex differences in the plant's form. That difference was strong enough to mislead classification when only specimens were compared. Taxonomy later corrected the mistake and placed both forms under one species. The same plant could still look like 2 separate names in older records. So one species can split into 2 names before careful study reunites it. Skimmia japonica is a reminder that sex can change a plant's appearance enough to mislead identification. The Pacific molly hybridizes easily with the common molly in the laboratory, but usually not in nature. Hybridization means offspring from different species or forms. Here, the same pairing is being compared in controlled water versus the wild. In the laboratory, controlled conditions remove obstacles that nature still keeps in place. That makes the fish pair up and produce hybrids more readily. In nature, those same obstacles usually stop the pairing before hybridization happens. The outcome changes even though the fish are the same. So a Pacific molly can seem compatible in the lab, then meet a different set of rules outside it. The result is a fish that hybridizes under glass, but usually not in the wild. Jane Rigby was too short to become an astronaut, so she chose astronomy instead. Astronaut selection can include physical requirements, and height can be one of them. Rigby faced that limit, but space science still had another path. The height rule closed one door, but it did not close the science. Astronomy let her study space from the ground instead of flying into it. That shift changed the kind of work she could do. Instead of meeting a height cutoff, she could ask questions with telescopes and data. One physical requirement rerouted her career, and the result was a scientist studying the sky from Earth. A blocked path became a different way to reach space. The West Goldhill dinosaur made a full turn and crossed its own path. This is read from the track itself, not from a skeleton. A track is a preserved trace of movement. As the animal moved, its path changed direction during the walk. That turning motion was preserved when the ground hardened. The turn brought the track back across an earlier line, creating a crossing path. That gives a brief record of motion in stone. One footprint can hold a turning point, a route, and a crossing all at once. West Goldhill preserves that moment as a fossilized path. Tippat Halev's well baby care centers were linked to a drop of more than 50% in infant mortality. Tippat Halev was a network of well baby care centers in pre-state Israel. It operated between 1927 and 1948, during a period of rapid population change. The network worked through preventive care. A well baby center could check infants early, guide families, and catch problems before they became harder to treat. Between 1927 and 1948, infant mortality fell by more than half. That is a measurable population-level change, not just an isolated clinic result. The result was a care network with visible reach across families, not a single room or one doctor. Tippat Halev linked everyday visits to a public health gain. Gynecologist James Finley Nolan delivered babies, and once, an atomic bomb. In medicine, delivered means helping bring a baby into the world. Nolan was a gynecologist, so that was his normal work. But the same word also meant transport. In one unusual case, Nolan was linked to moving an atomic bomb as cargo. That made his job title span two very different deliveries. One was childbirth, and one was a bomb moving through military logistics. So James Finley Nolan sits in an unusual historical overlap, a doctor known for babies, and once for an atomic bomb. The same verb covered both jobs. If these facts changed how you see the world, the rest of the channel is built for exactly that. Comment with the one that surprised you most, and subscribe for more evidence-led stories.